Hello my little beauties, and welcome to this live codathon. In fact, I hope you are enjoying these. I'm not going to be doing too many more of these, at least probably not public and on YouTube. So this is, I'll maybe do a week or two more of this and then move on to something else, But I do enjoy these live streams, and you are my inspiration and my motivation. And I hope that you get something from this. I'm not expecting any challenges today. Even though yesterday I got a whole load of JavaScript errors. But I think that's behind us, I really think that's all behind us, and I think that we're now into the realms of, pretty much ordinary web development. So I'm going to be continuing with this restaurant site here. And like I say, I don't predict any problems with this at all. I think this is going to be a good day. I'm quite optimistic. So I have a few little targets that I'll be glad to show you. Okay. So I'm going to try this here. So this is basically I'm going to add a light theme onto these menus, add some logos and stuff like that, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's us. So on Friday and Saturday I'm going to do the image gallery. I'm going to do a really great image gallery for this actually. Okay. Alright. So that's the vibe. Shall we dance? Okay. So I'm going to start us off here just by opening up a little bit of software that's a bit helpful sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to just say updated to do, ready to work on light theme. Alright. Okay. So let me show you the vibe. We have this nice menu thing here. Whole lot of work went into this. Now I'm hoping that I can add an actual full online ordering system onto this. And if I inspect on mobile devices, you can see that it's really quite nice. It just works nice, There it is on an iPad. But of course, this is a dark theme, so for us we're going to do a light theme. So, if we have a wee look at this thing here, look at this horrendous query. How would you do this without the query builder, Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to log into the admin panel for this. So perhaps go to menus, manage, jump in here, and okay. Right, so here's our menu. And I'm going to change the menu theme to light. There we go. Now I'm going to refresh this page here. And that's perfect. We have an error because it's trying to look for a different view file. Perfect, right? So we're going to have a new file called menulite.php. Now while we're here, I'm going to delete a lot of these files that we don't need. Alright, perfect. And menulite is going to bear a striking resemblance to menu dark. So I'm just going to copy all of that because there's a whole bunch of JavaScript and everything that we can reuse. So there we go, right? Now the key vibe for us is to look inside htdocs. The guy has sent me a light menu, so he sent me two menus. This is what the light menu looks like, and it's actually remarkably similar to the dark one, except the fonts are a different colour and we've got a different background, but it's very, very similar. Actually, almost astonishingly similar. So the first thing I want to do is get this background. Now unfortunately I don't have any images in and I don't want to hassle anybody, so I'm going to take a trip to Photopea. Gonna open, head into this junk folder here. Here is our light menu. Alright. Okay. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that we don't really need at this stage. I'm only interested in the background actually. So I'm going to click all of these little eyeballs. I'm sure there's a quicker way of doing this, but I want to just take away all of the stuff that I don't need to see here. Did you know that Photopea could do this? Did you know that it could open up PDFs like this? It's kinda cool. It's kinda cool. Anyway, this is going to be a really easy day I think today, so gives us a wee chance to chat and catch up maybe as well and talk about some cool stuff, and who knows, maybe even make a few plans for next year. Today's a good day for me, you know, because it's funny, like I've started to realise that I find it easier to get motivated when I have other people on board, you know. And there's a guy from India who was messaging me for a while, you know, and to be entirely honest, I think he was looking for work, and I never had any. And even if I did, I don't really outsource, you know. But I had this idea and I says, I'll tell you what, I have a few projects in the back burner, and here's one of them. And why don't we do this? And it's just one of my own projects, you know, and I'll give you a 50% cut. Well, actually a 49% cut. I own the domain name and I've done some groundwork, you know. And I says to him, would you do it for 20%? He says, yeah. I says, great, I'll give you 49. And I'm meeting him today at 5 PM London time. And we're going to have what I'm calling a working Skype call. So the idea is that we're going to spend 3 hours. Now, where on earth is my background? Anyway, we're going to spend 3 hours on Skype going through a whole bunch of stuff, working together, you know, the two of us, maybe sharing screen and working on a project and whatnot. I've never done it before, but I'm really optimistic about this. I have such a good feeling about this, let me tell you. And Well, you just never know. It's something different, you know? And I think it's something that I would really be up for doing. It's like when it comes to the business world, and by the way, YouTube keeps giving me copyright strikes for these videos, which is quite irritating, so I have to take these videos down every time I finish them. But when it comes to web development, you know, there's a whole different bunch of ways that you can potentially earn a living at this type of thing. Potentially. The worst of which is to make a framework, by the way. But there are a whole load of different ways that you can make a living. And one of the things that I've realised quite recently is that, hang on, 12.381, 12.381, 12.381, oh jeez, I'm too slow. I don't want to think today. No, 2.381, see there you go, 2.381. Alright, 4.7.6.2. Anyway, one of the things I've realised about myself is that when I'm doing a real job for a real client, let's say, well, it can get a wee bit intense, you know, and I don't mean in a negative way or anything. It's just that, and again, forgive me if I sound like I'm trying to be the world's worst self-help coach, but it's kind of like, have you ever watched Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares? And you see them in the kitchen, and it's kind of, there's an urgency to everything, you know? Everything is just a wee bit kind of, what's the word? I don't want to say stressed, but let's just say there's an urgency, you know? Everything has an urgency to it, and it's a kind of, if the energy's good, it's a kind of light sprinkling of urgency, you know? If you watch a show like, you see this with these chef shows where they're in restaurants, you know? They tend to not work in the most leisurely way imaginable. So everything has a sort of briskness, and like I say, a sort of light sprinkling of urgency. And if you happen to be a chef, I mean, I would imagine that that's the perfect energy to have. You wouldn't want somebody who's just totally laid back, and you probably wouldn't want somebody who was a raving maniac, but you'd want them just a wee bit above average in terms of, I suppose, being, I don't know what the phrase is, highly strung or something. It's like, it's an urgency, you know? And I've noticed that web development is like that. I mean, I'm talking about commercial. This music is awful. Anyway, I've noticed that commercial web development is like this, you know? And hello there, Mamalinio. It's great to see you. Have a brilliant day, my friend. Thanks for that energy. Yeah, and Stefan is here. Hello to you, Stefan. Welcome, welcome. So as I was saying, ordinary web development is a bit like that, you know? There is, I've lost my window. Oh no, don't do this to me. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's like you cannot afford the luxury of faffing about, you know? Unfortunately. And sometimes you just have to, I don't want to say change personality or assume a character, it's nothing like that, but when you're doing sort of stack 'em high, sell 'em cheap web development, or even any kind of commercial web development, you do have to be kind of on the ball with this stuff, you know. So I think that you need that energy, that just slightly intense, you know, a slight briskness. Like, how you doing? How was your day? Fine, let's go. Like this, you know. And without giving any names, of course, it has occurred to me recently that there are some developers in our midst who are brilliant and intelligent and hardworking, and they're great developers. They're brilliant, but they're not geared for that world. They're not at the vibrational frequency where they can just suddenly go, like I say, like the chef at the busy kitchen. Maybe they're used to working at a slower pace. Maybe they, for whatever reason, maybe they're just geared for different, I don't know, maybe a different kind of work or something like that. So for example, I had a job. Whoops, pardon me. Okay, I'm going to have to do a wee bit more work on that thing. Yeah, I had a job a while ago where I had somebody came on board to help, and we met up on Skype. And when we met up on Skype to basically start solving problems and working on this thing, well, there's all people running around in the background, you know. And it was like, oh, have I introduced you to the family? You know, here's Charlie and here's Chico and here's the dog and everything. Isn't that great? Yay, you know. And that is great. God bless Charlie and Chico. But I knew that this great person, this great developer, is not gonna last 5 fucking minutes in my world. Because I'm telling you, man, the clients do not give a fuck about Charlie or Bonnie, Prince and Charlie, the 3 German Shepherd dogs. They don't give a rat's ass, you know. And people who have worked with me, you know, like in real situations, and there's not too many, but those who have are often a wee bit, well, I don't want to say shocked, but they're a wee bit taken aback when they see how, when it comes to doing real gigs, I don't faff about, you know. When it comes to doing a real gig, I'm all business, you know. And I think that some of the developers that I've worked with are just taken aback by that, and it's like, holy cow, where did the nice laid back dude go? And that's just how you have to be, though. Like when you're doing commercial development, we cannot, tragically and very unfortunately, we cannot afford the luxury of faffing about, you know. But that does not mean that all is lost. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. But what it does mean is that there are certain developers who are geared for this kind of work that I'm doing right now. And there are other kinds of developers who are not. And they would just be miserable if they even tried it, quite frankly. Not only that, but there are a lot of developers who, it's like, there's a lot of developers who are wired for building big giant apps. I can see it. Their ideal client is somebody who says, could you build a large app for a call center? I've got a budget of so many thousand and I'm happy to wait 2 years. Now, believe it or not, that type of work does exist. I've had a client, I've had a couple of clients like that. And it's a really great type of gig when you land it, you know? So, there are some developers who are perfectly and fantastically wired for that kind of work, you know? And they'll do well in that type of arena. But if they're doing a fairly simple site, this site that I'm looking at right now is, well, it's nice, but it's kind of simple, right? And there's a whole lot of people that if they're doing a site like this, they'll just not be happy, because their thing, for better or for worse, is building big giant sites. You know? So, again, you know, these are two categories of developer who are perfectly cool, hardworking, decent, talented. They've got tons of great stuff to bring to the table, but they're not really suited to this type of stuff. They're just not. It's never going to happen. And I think that for developers who are in that category, I honestly think that you've basically got a choice. You can either spend some time and try and recalibrate your whole vibe so that you can handle this kind of work, you know, with deadlines and all that and all of that stuff. So you can basically go back to the drawing board and say, right, okay, I'm just going to make myself tune into this, you know. Or you can just gracefully say to yourself, well, maybe this is not for me, and I'll find something else. And finding something else is no disaster. It might mean I'm going to work on my own projects, you know? Or maybe I'm going to build an app that solves a certain problem and then sell it to business owners or something. Or maybe even I'm going to do a YouTube channel or something like that, or start doing lessons, you know. I think that there are maybe developers who are well positioned to do that kind of stuff, you know. And again, nothing against them, but they're just not quite in a position to do the front line stuff, you know? And all I'm saying is, well, that's fine, and there's no need to get distressed about that. But if you're in that position, all is not lost. It just means that you have to find the type of work that makes you feel good, you know? Nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean you've wasted your time or anything. It just means that you have to find something else, you know? And so one of the things I'm doing, and I'm doing it today, and I'm putting this is my formal notification, right? I have a gazillion ideas for web apps. I have a gazillion of them. And most of the time when I describe those ideas to developers, they're like, wow, that sounds awesome. And they're, all of the ideas I've got involve some really cool web development stuff, usually stuff that hasn't been done before. And I'm just putting the feelers out, and I'm just saying that if anybody out there is in a position where they're feeling miserable, or they're feeling as if they're not being challenged or something, or maybe they don't want to do this type of commercial work, then you can give me a shout. You can call on me, because I would be delighted to partner up with talented people and just join forces, and let's all build some cool stuff, you know? And I'm going to be doing the first one today. Like I say, I'll be meeting somebody for 3 hours on Skype. I'm meeting at 5 o'clock, so it's about 6 hours ahead, right? We're going to be meeting up for 3 hours. It's a brand new project, and the two of us are just going to be working side by side, live screen. He'll have his computer, I'll have mine. Guy in India, he gets, I say basically half. I've got the domain name, right? But this is the vibe. It's active collaboration, not management, not me being in charge or anything like that. Just people working, you know? And I think it's awesome. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So, yeah. There you go. So I'm kind of, no, not kind of, I'm very excited about that, actually. I am excited. I think it's going to be a good old thing, you know? Alright. So, on to this thing here. And, right, I'm just going to clean up a few bits and pieces. Okay, so you can see that the color is all the E's. I'm going to change that to all the ones. There you go. Oh, that's looking beautiful. And on our menu grid, look at that. It actually looks like a real menu, doesn't it? It's just fantastic. Now, one of the things I'm noticing is that these prices could do with being bold, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe not. No, you know, actually, I kind of like it the way it is. Right, let me just say background color red, I got you. So we're going to look for this menu item title. Let's have a wee look. Okay, there it is there. Now see this right hand side? For the right hand side, I'm going to say right hand side, set attribute class of menu item price. There you go. Alright, now let me just sort my background color of red out. Funnily enough, I don't like it when it's bold. I've changed my mind. I just don't like it. I never thought that would happen. I never thought that would happen. I preferred it the way it was. So alright, well what we'll do is we'll just say that the menu item title has a font weight of bold, and that'll be that. Oops. Design is a funny old thing, you know, because you can never quite tell how something's going to turn out until you look at it, you know. Alright, now, one of the questions I have is this okay? Is that colour dark enough? I'm not entirely sure, so I'm going to take a little trip here. Okay. So I'm just bringing some stuff back here. Alright. So if I take this part, here's our color, EBA 856. It looks exactly the same. Oh gee. Well, maybe not. Yeah, there it's there, EBA 856. So that is exactly the same colour. Alright, so there's a menu. And Yeah, it's looking good. So on a mobile device, there we are on an iPad. Let's see what we're like on a mobile phone. That's pretty good, pretty good. Ah. Well, okay. So I think it would be good if this took up the full width of the thing, you know? Okay. Right, let me console.log menu.outer HTML, because I have no clue what that menu represents. Okay, so it's actually the category details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say console.log menu.offset width. Let's get the width of this menu here. (291). Now I'm going to get the parent element. And I'm going to console.log parent element offset width. So you can see that the parent element is 679. So around about here, I'm going to say menu.style. Menu set attribute width is the same as the parent element dot offset width. Damn. Let's try something else. Menu.style.background color is green. This is just going to give me a confirmation that At least I'm talking to this thing, you know? Alright, so let's try something else then. Let's say menu.style.width equals parent element dot offset width there you go. Funny how it started well and then it... See, that's good. And that's not. So I think what I should do then yeah, when we click on this, I'm going to very briefly make the width go to 0. Now this may or may not work, I don't know. Yeah, that does seem to work. Right, now let's try something else. Okay. So I'm going to console.log menu.offset width, and I'm going to console.log parent element dot offset width, and we get 372371. And here okay, now I'm just curious, I wonder what would happen if it was narrow. Is it going to be centered or to the left? Right, that's good, that's good. So that means that if I multiply this by say 0.9, or maybe 0.96, oh, maybe something like that. Okay. And when this thing closes, we change the width back to 0. Ah, right, okay. So hold on a minute. Okay, so what I think is going on is, I think that there's a, there it is, there's your answer. There's a grid column gap there that is really, really causing those problems. So everything is good, everything is good. It's just that when we do this, the grid column gap is basically breaking this. So what I'm going to do then is, when we open this thing up, I'm going to say menu.style.grid column gap equals 0. So when I click on it, you miserable swine, it's menu grid. Okay, so I'm going to say menu grid. There we go. Okay. Ah, there it is. There it is right there. Do you see what we're talking about? Do you see what we're talking about on this fine day of all days? So that's what we're talking about. And under normal circumstances, of course, that grid column gap is going to be coming in at about $6M. Alright, so let's have a wee refresh. Have a wee click. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I can get rid of this green. Can get rid of this console.log. Okay, so when somebody clicks, just look at how perfect that looks. And same here. And on the big screen, it's all fantasticola. Now that was a nice wee bit of JavaScript, made me feel kind of good. So I am gonna copy this toggle menu thing because I like it. There we go. Alright, so there's our light menu. Now I'm not sure if I'm into these colours, by the way. I think that text is a bit light, but it's not for me to make that decision, you know. When you're dealing with like a posh restaurant, or this is a very fancy restaurant, right? And when you're dealing with something like that, you don't want to mess with any of the branding. That is someone else's job. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Alright, and if I jump over and show you with a dark theme. So I'm going to say update menu details. Menu theme is dark. Let's submit that. And now if I refresh this page, here's the dark theme. And I tell you what, folks, it's absolutely perfect. Alright, well done me. Light, menu, theme, now working. Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. That was actually easier than I thought it would be. I wonder how everybody is in the room. Well, hello there. Nat. Oh, Chef is here as well. Hello to you, Chef. Welcome, my friend. It's nice to see you. And Nat Nail, I hope I have your name right there. Welcome, folks. I wonder what you're working on today. Do let me know. What's on your mind? What you been focusing on? Talk to me. Talk to me. Alright, so that's the menus, hopefully sorted. Now I'm going to do the home page. Now I've done a rough draft, but I haven't done the sort of, well, I guess you could say the proper home page. So that's what we're going to do now. And it's all going to be fantastic. So, I think I'm going to have to check my emails, if you'll give me a wee second here. Alright, well, thank you for that interesting information from Chef there. All I can tell you is everything that has happened is all part of your perfect fairy tale. I know that whatever circumstances life has thrown at you, you are going to turn this into a winning hand, Chef. And we are here supporting you every step of the way. Do you hear me, man? Do you hear me? Alright. Anyway, I managed to get a PDF of what they want the homepage to look like. I've actually already drafted one out previously, but now I'm going to do it a little bit more properly, you know. So, I'll go back to this thing here. Now, I don't want... How do we refresh? Let's just reload. Alright. And here was the homepage that they liked. And again, I've drafted it out before, but it shouldn't be too difficult doing this again and probably doing it a wee bit more accurately this time. Now, that's... Oh, you miserable swine. Let's wait. There you go. Okay, so this looks like the entire site they've actually put forward here. So maybe my work's not going to be that easy. I'm seeing 20 pages. Jeez. Alright. Well, if that's the case, then that is the case. Let's have a look here. Yeah, I never realised there was so many pages. So we've got this home page. We've got the Our Story page. Looks good, looks good. Should be quite easy, that. We've got the Our People. Yep, I'm liking that. We've got this one here. Oh yeah. Now, I'm not sure how that fits into it because there was not a charity link on here. But then we've got book a table. Speak to... We've got our menus, right? That's good. That's quite helpful. There's an actual menu. Now, okay. I'm not entirely sure what this page is. Shop. Oh, it's gift cards. Okay. 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 Then they've got vacancies. Nice old gallery. Gee, some of that looks good. Look at that cake. Oh, I'm going there right now. Haha. Jeez, that's getting me going. I better not look too closely. I tell you, man, I did try one of their meals and it really is that great, you know. Oh, jeez, right, I better not. Okay. Okay, so that was pretty cool, right? And I think that the pages are looking okay. I did not see anything there that looked crazy. Sometimes you can get jobs that come in and there's all sorts of crazy design ideas and whatnot. This is not in that category, thankfully. I think this is looking alright. So, shall we dance? Alright. So we'll start off by going into the navigator here. Now this is going really slow. It's freaking out basically, you know. It's freaking out. Okay. Now, I wonder if I can delete these layers because they're really causing problems. I'm going to hit delete. Did that work? It did work. Oh good, because you won't be able to see this. But this is a 5 megabyte file. And all of those pages are causing big problems for us. Oh, don't delete it. Don't delete it. Thank heavens. Right, okay, good. Now that should hopefully speed this up a wee bit. Now, see when you... Okay, let me just get a wee bit of room here. Okay, I'm going to do something else just before we go into this. I'd like to open up this lunch menu thing again. Okay. And in this, okay, what I want to do is see if I can grab this logo here, because I haven't got a decent version of the logo. So here it is, Restaurante and all of that stuff. So that's what I'm going to try and grab here. So it's going to be a little process of just taking stuff off until I'm left with this logo, hopefully. Oh. Whoop. Right, I can see that that is all to do with the logo. I'm trying to... Right, let me add a new layer. Where did it go? Alright, so basically I want to isolate this logo thing. So, George Lucas, eat your heart out. Okay. So right, I think I'm gonna have to get rid of those black outlines. You can see them, right? There you go. No. Okay. Okay, so I think no. Right, let's get this magic wand happening here. Okay. Well, that was bullshit. Let's try again. Alright, did we get it? I'm not sure. So that was on a tolerance of 40. Let's do a much bigger tolerance, and I'm trying to just smooth out the curves, you know. Let's try 88. So there's 88. There's the other one. I think that's a bit better. I'm just curious what happens if we go up to 100? Well, 100 is darn near perfect. So I think that's basically going to be it then. And so we'll grab this crop thing and we'll bring this all in. So now I'm going to just make this transparent, and then I'm going to export it as a PNG. Super high quality. And I'm just going to call this the logo. In fact, alright, now this image is giant. In fact, geez, it's totally giant. Let me bring it down a wee bit. Nah, shouldn't have done that. Here's what we'll do. We'll copy that. I'm going to say new, transparent. There you go. So now it's gone right to the edges, right? So we'll export that as a PNG. I'll replace that. Now I'm going to want one of those for the website, so I'm going to change the image size this time, and I'll make it like maybe 240. Oh, you miserable swine. Okay. Export as PNG. Oh, pardon me. First I need to do image size. 240. Now, the actual logo says restaurant, restaurante, pizza, or whatever across here. I'm deliberately not adding that because it's not going to work. I can tell it's just not going to work. So I'm going to export that. Italian restaurant.png, or maybe Italian restaurant Glasgow.png. Okay, now let's have a look at where this logo thing is here. So this is on a template by the name of Cool Mobi. If we go into config, you'll see that we've got a themes folder here. We've got Cool Mobi, and this one is coming in with on Cool Mobi black. Here it is right here. So where it says logo, I'm going to just say, well, first of all, let's just do a little style. Border 1 pix red solid. Okay, that's looking good. So okay, I'm gonna say image with a source of images, Italian oh yeah. All right. Now, I'm gonna have to restrict the height of this thing, unfortunately. So okay, so we're going to go and open up Italian restaurant Glasgow.css. And on header large top, here it is right here. Well, I'm going to do a wee bit of definition for the image here. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm a wee bit concerned about this div here. I can see that it's got quite a bit of padding. So I'm going to say padding is 0. There you go. And then I'm going to say display is flex, align, items, center, justify content, center. That's the style. Now, let me try a wee experiment. Okay. Okay, so they've got a black outline around this, and I have not. And they've also got text in here. Ristorante, pizzeria, that one. Okay, see, I just feel like whatever I do, it's gonna look shite. It's a bastard of a logo, you know. I think I'm going to just move on. I'm just going to talk about that. I mean, I'm certainly not going to ask them to change their logo, but I think there are a couple of legitimate decisions that have to be made with that, because yeah, that's going to be very, very difficult to get that looking nice. Easter. Let's have a look here. Alright, well for the moment I'll just leave that as it is. Let's just move on. Okay, so when we click on this thing, we're going to go back to the home page. Jeez, oh, it just went bigger. Why did it do that? Okay, well I'm not going to have the design messed up because of that fucking thing. Alright. So let's just say on click equals go to URL. There we go. And I'll just say cursor, pointer. Alright, so there's a few things about this site that are kind of not the way I would have done things. But I'm certainly not going to go around complaining. All right. How you doing, Dan? Nice to see you. I'm just trying to make inroads with this thing. Jeez. Anyway, we'll stay positive, stay positive. Alright. So here on the home page, we've got a big old picture here. Now, that's a cracking picture, and to me that looks pretty darn good, but just for the record, I don't think it's the best use of real estate that I've seen. You know? Because yeah, this part here, this part that we're looking at, this is Park Lane in Mayfair, do you know what I mean? This is a really important part of the design, and what does it do? Well, it's kind of a good picture. It shows you that they do good grub and they're nicely dressed and they're smart and everything, that's cool. But I'm just not 100% sure that this is the best use of that space, you know? Because it's going to take up a whole lot of space, man. You know? Anyway. I'm looking at the shot. I'm trying to see how low quality I can make this. I'll go with that. And we'll give it a nice imaginative name. Alright. So back onto this home page here. This is the home page. And presumably there's a file called homepage content. Here it is here. Alright. So looking at the home page that they want to have. Yeah, I think that's just a huge big, well, frankly, a kind of a waste of space, if I'm being honest. But let's not complain. We'll just think of it in terms of sections, right? So I'm going to think of this one in terms of a class equal to HP upper and just as a reminder, I did not design this. I would have designed it a little bit differently, but what do I know? And don't get me wrong, I'm not being the guy that's like, oh, this is a rubbish design. It's just that, you know, the design's cool. It's just that there's kind of a difference between designing stuff to make it look nice, designing stuff to get to the top of Google, and designing stuff for the web, you know. Now, why is that not happening? It's as if I think I know what's happening. Right, okay, so I'll say display is flex. Let's just give it a crazy old background color. Okay. Let's say align items flex start. That's going to move things to the top. Justify content center. Okay. Decisions. Now the trouble with this is that if I do an image like that. And suppose I give the image a width of 100% and a height of auto. Then we end up with this. We end up with that. So now we have to really scroll down here. But, you know, if that's what they've got for the design proof, then so be it. Yeah. Like I say, that's probably not what I would have done, but in favour of the design, at least they've got clear buttons here and pretty clear navigation, so let's not be too down about that. And from my own perspective, my own slightly selfish perspective, of course, there's certain options I've got here. Now, by the way, I can see that that does not say the restaurant words here, so that makes me feel good. Maybe the logo's okay. Let me have a wee look at this, will ya? Do you know that I can make this a bit darker? Oh, well, that could solve a wee challenge with the logo. That definitely could. Yep, that's something for the future. But the first rule of web design is you never mess with the client's logo. Now, I'm tempted to cut this off here and have it as a strip or some kind of animation or something. I'm tempted to narrow this. I'm tempted to do a whole bunch of things, but I think the best thing is to just leave it as is and have an honest discussion with the guy, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we'll keep that as it is just now, and let me, as I'm doing this, I'm going to keep an eye on the mobile side of things. Funny, you know, it actually looks pretty darn good on a mobile device, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. All right, so let's see if we can do something with the mobile device, and I'll try and basically design the two of these things at the same time. So here's our image. Now I'm going to go where it says logo here. I'm going to chuck in that image. Okay. Now, let's do just a wee bit of work on that. So, I'm looking for the bit that says logo. And I don't think there's anything there. Alright, well, I'll do this here. So I'll chuck in the definitions that we did have and refresh this. Okay, so let's give the logo a little border so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, now let's make this picture tiny. Okay, let's make the logo have a display type of flex with align items center and justify content center. That's good. Now let's see what we can get away with in terms of image size here. What happens if we make it 90%? Not too good. What if we make it position absolute? Oh gee. I think I might get away with that. Yeah, man, I think I might get away with that. So on a mobile device, we get this. I think that works. I actually think that that works. So here's our menu. Do you know what? It's too small. Let's bring it right up. And that's too darn big. Yeah, it's going to have to be that size. Okay, that's cool. So let's continue with this home page then. Hands are cold. Okay. So I've added those logos in. Alright, let's now do the next part of the home page, which is going to be the newsletter. And then we're going to have this social media thing here. So, what I think I'll do with this one is we'll have a section with a class equal to, or pardon me, newsletter sign up. Now, for the moment, and only for the moment, I'm going to do a wee bit of lorem in here. Okay. Newsletter sign up. Paragraph of nth child 1, margin 0. Cool. Okay, that's pretty cool. So let's get this thing happening. Now, what I think I'm going to do with this is, well, for the moment I'll just map out an ordinary form. So I'll say H2 newsletter, and we'll just copy this vibe here. Alright, so here we've got our newsletter fields, and for this I'm going to break out of PHP and on our form here I'm going to add in an array with a class of newsletter form, and in here we'll have 4 divs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. Now if we right click and have a close look at that thing, you can see that we've got a class of newsletter form here, and what I'm going to do with that, you probably guessed it, I'm going to say that display is grid, and I'm going to say grid gap is 1em, and then grid template columns is something like that. Okay, well, whatever's going on there is not playing ball with me, so let's just go like that. All right. Okay, now that is jet black. Oops, I never meant that. Okay, now I may need to change that font later on. Okay. All right. So let's do these form fields here, right? So, man, I'm cold. Alright, now I'm going to set a thing called attribute, and it's going to have a placeholder. Pretty cool. In fact, let's do it a different way. Let's just say array placeholder is assigned to Pretty good. Alright. Now, let's do a wee bit more work on this. If we've got a button, give it a margin of 0 and a width of 100%. Excellent. Now on our form fields, we're going to have a maximum width. Perfect. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Alright. Now we're going to look at this at on a mobile device. And you can see just about actually that on a mobile device this looks garbage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this part here with the newsletter form fields. Pardon me. Alright. So we're going to have a media query up here. So you say media, you do brackets, you say your conditions like minimum width is 1 pixel, and then you just paste in. And I'm going to say that for a really small screen, I'm going to just go with 1 FR. So now you can see that this is fitting in quite nicely. And by the way, if you want to be super cool, say for example somebody's got an iPad, well for that it's a wee bit bigger, so maybe for something in that range, you see how it says 768, so we could maybe say something like, okay, well if the width is 650, then we'll make the grid template columns repeat twice. You see what I mean? So now we've got this thing looking fantasticola on any device that you care to throw at it. Here's a big old iPad here. We tilt it around, it's over at 2. Here comes a tiny little phone. Looks good. And here comes a big screen. And it looks good. Okay, I need to heat myself up here. Could you give me just a wee second? Alright. I know how to put a black... Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'll talk to the guy. But here comes Treff. Hello there, Treff. How are you doing, you crazy rock and roller? Welcome. Oh, God bless you. Holy moly. Is that an SVG? What is this? It's bloody amazing. I just wish I never had the grey background. Well, I don't know how you even managed to get that, but that is that's amazing. Open a new tab. Holy moly. We have a genius in our midst. Jeez. Well, that's really cool. But it is. I mean, it's awesome. The only but is that, jeez, man, I have to pause and say I'm taken aback by how cool that was. But the only thing is, I still think it's going to look duff when you add in that text, you know? I think as good as it is, man, and it's damn good, I just think that black border is going to cause problems at a smaller screen size. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But this is awesome. It's okay, well that's pretty darn impressive. There's an SVG on the current site. Ah, I see. And hello to you, Gary. Right, okay. Let's have a look at that. I'm getting hung. Oh, right, I see. Okay, I don't think that looks so good. I really don't. I just think it's... I mean, the black here lines are just looking a bit crooked. The text doesn't really work. And based on the fact that they've got a staff member here wearing a top that does not appear to have that text, I think we might have a license to just run with this, you know? Run with this. This is probably what I'm going to do. And just darken the colour, you know? I think that's the way to go. But I don't want to mess with it. I really don't. I don't want to mess with the dude's logo in any way at all. I'm just going to move on. I think when it comes to stuff like that, the best strategy is always, always, always to just talk to them, you know? Alright, let me get my room heated up here because it's really cold. I'll be right back. Alright folks, now one of the things that I like to do from time to time on these little live streams, and I'm not going to be doing these for too long here, like I say, maybe a week or two more, and then it's all going to be private, you know. But early next year, I'm going to be getting back into the business, you know. Yeah, I'm going to be getting back into the business because I'm good at this, and I kind of enjoy it in a strange way. So, yeah, man, I'm going to be getting back into the web development business, and I'm planning a course which is going to be called Freedom Developer. And one of the things I'm going to be teaching is how to start a web development business and how to do deals and all of that stuff. So, I thought maybe I could give you a wee bit of my patter here and see how you folks get on and find out if you all have the eye of the tiger. So would you like to have a wee bit of fun with this? Alright, well, it's just a wee bit of fun and games. But here's the question that I have for the room, right? Let's imagine. I'll type this, okay? Question. Imagine, now we're not saying this client, right? Any client. Imagine a client hires you to do, let's just say an SEO job, integrate a new design, or something like that. Let's imagine that this client could really benefit from a super duper IT system that you could build. For example, an internal order processing system, an online ordering feature, something like that. However, let's imagine that the client already has systems in place for these kinds of things. The systems aren't very good, but the client is comfortable. So, he has Charlie doing the mailing list, Archie taking care of the PayPal feature, some other faceless company taking care of another aspect. And the client is basically all over the place with a whole bunch of relations. With all these faceless organizations who are probably not serving the client as well as you could. Here's the question. How do you get the client to ditch the deadwood and have you build a complete IT system? Now, I'm not talking about this particular site, it's a hypothetical, right? How do you get the client to say, look, you've got a system for this, a system for that, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing that. Why don't you just have one unified system? It will be amazing. Now, I'm going to give you a clue. If you say that, the client is going to say, well, I've already got this stuff and I am happy. That's what the client's going to say. The client has a relationship, actually a whole bunch of relationships with all these different companies. Relationships with companies who handle this, that, the next thing. A company that does a computing system linked in with the till. A company that handles mailing lists, you name it. A company for everything. How do you get it unified so that you are providing the IT service and we get rid of the deadwood? Because quite frankly, if you follow this channel, you can probably do a better job than all of those losers. Anyway, so how would you do that? That's my question to the room. What would your opening salvo be? Okay, I'm going to assume that there's no answers and you're all in silence. So, I'm going to just, maybe somebody's typing something out, but I'm going to give you my own answer and see what you think. So the answer to the question is, you say to the client, how much are those other companies paying you to use their systems? Here it is again. I'll type it out. This is your magic phrase. How much are those other companies paying you to use those systems? Think about that for a minute. You say that to somebody, they'll be like, what? What do you mean, how much are they paying? You see, they are expecting how much are you paying? That's what they think they're going to get. How much are you paying those other companies to use those systems? That's what they're expecting. But if you say that, you're going to come up against a brick wall. If you're lucky, you might get told, they charge so much per month. You know, whatever it is. Who knows what. But when you turn that around and you say, no, how much are those companies paying you to use those systems? This is the magic question. This is the gold, right? So, you don't want to get into a situation where it's like, well, I pay 100 to them and you say, well, I'll do it for 90. That's a race to the bottom and it's just not exciting, right? So the opening salvo is, hey, by the way, how much are those other companies paying you? The other companies pay you. Now, the only reasonable answer or response to that type of question is, what on earth is going on? This is the basics. Attention. Have I got your attention? Have I got your attention? How much are they paying you? Attention factor 100. I'm teaching you how to start and run a web development business. Been doing it since the mid-90s. Attention factor 100. That's a strange question. So, then you say to them, let's look at the logic. You've got a beautiful business based in Kentucky, and it's a fantastic, let's say, restaurant or something like that. But you know, there are other restaurants on the planet called Earth, and it causes you no inconvenience whatsoever if those other restaurants are successful. For example, maybe there's a restaurant in Sweden somewhere, or London, or Scotland, or France, or Australia, that could also benefit from having a system like the one that you are using. You know, and you can wrap it up with a pandemic or so on, right? So then you would say, what if you could sell or rent or lease your system to a similar business elsewhere? Again, it would cause you no inconvenience whatsoever. These people may be at the other side of the world. Maybe they're doing Chinese food or something. Who knows? But this could potentially be an automated income. Ding, 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 ding. Remember that thing that everybody was talking about when the web came out? Are you interested? This is the basics. Are you interested in that? You're fucking right, I'm interested. Because if not, then you're dealing with a fucking moron. Of course somebody's going to be interested in that, right? So what if you could sell, rent or lease your system to a similar business elsewhere? Wouldn't that be cool? I'm interested. Excellent. So, at that point, your next stage of the process is, you could say, we could build this thing, make it amazing, and then once it works for you, roll it out for other similar businesses. When those businesses buy, come on board even, you get paid. So what that means is you get two things. You get, one, a system that is 1,000,000 times better than what you have. And it's going to be a unified system. No longer running about talking to Charlie, Archie and Chico. A unified, beautiful IT system. But you also get an automated income from other business owners who like your software. Your software. Look at the amount of times I've said the word you. I'll highlight you. You never even noticed because I'm operating at a Jedi level, ladies and gentlemen. This is my teaser content for my upcoming course, which is going to be called Freedom Developer. So, of course, what do you think? Have you made your decision? Have you made your decision? Would you like to do that? Here's the prices, here's the terms. Have you made your decision? They're only going to go one way, of course. And then action. Give me your deposit up front and give me the rest when it's finished. That's web development. That is deal making. And I would encourage you to look out for my course that's coming up, probably start of next year. It's going to be called Freedom Developer. Not only am I going to be teaching these techniques that I have perfected over 20 years, I'm going to be doing the unthinkable. I am going to be doing what nobody else has the balls to do. I'm going to be doing it, right? I'm going to be doing it for real. and you'll be able to follow that and watch real action happening. It's the upcoming course Freedom Developer, and I do hope that you'll consider giving it a shot when it comes out. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. But in the meantime, well, I'll just plod on with this little thing, which has nothing to do with any of that, of course. Alright. Now, okay, we're looking good here. This is looking fantastic. Alright. So, that's that so far, right? Now let's see what else we've got here. Great job with the SVGs, man. Right, we've got this social media thing. Okay. So, I'm imagining that is going to appear on lots of pages. So, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make up a module. How about a module called social media? Yeah, sounds okay to me. We'll have a folder called controllers. We'll have a folder called views. We'll have a file called socialmedia.php. Alright, can you hear me? Is my sound okay? I hope so. Alright, so let's build one of these little beauties. Now I've got a thing here where it's like shortcuts. And I cannot... here you go. TG. Yeah, here you go. I remember this. So you go like this. TGC. And then it's that. How cool is that? That was somebody from Speed Coding Academy made that. Okay. So I'll call it Draw Social Now let's just call it Draw Info. Okay, so we're going to say this view social media info. I'll pass in an array. You just never know. Alright, here we go. If only my hands could heat up, I'd be able to work a bit faster than this. Okay, but there's our social media info. Now I'm going to head to this homepage contents thing. And I'm going to say this modules run. Actually, I wonder if there's one for this. TGM. Is there one? Nah, maybe not. Alright, so we'll go into PHP. I'm going to say modules run social media draw info. Alright. So back over to the site here, have a little refresh, and there is our social media info thing. Now let's have a look at the actual thing that they want. And as you can see, it's got 2 rows on it. I'm going to do a little Alright, I'm going to do a little printage of the screen here, and then we'll open up, and actually let's refresh this. There's too much. No, let's not refresh it. Well, what do you know? It's just a shame that this wee box is the size of an amoeba. Alright. Okay, so on our social media info thing, I'm going to have a div with an ID of social media info. Then I'm going to have a div here that is the top section. Then I'm going to have a div here that is kind of the main section. Something like that. And maybe even instead of divs, maybe this thing should actually be sections, because they look nice on mobiles, you know, with this particular template. So if we go like this, and we go like this, don't forget to smile. I think that's looking fantasticola. Now, I'm going to do a wee bit of styling here. I'm going to say that for social media info direct descendant div of nth child 1, let's make it have a background color of you miserable swine of this. Perfect. Now, over here, I'm going to say that social media info has got a margin of 0. Oh, you miserable such and such. Padding of 0. There you go. Right, now this top thing, I'm just going to chuck in some random numbers. Something like that. And if you look at the design, they've got these 4 sections here. So that's exactly what we're going to have. So this is going to contain 4 different things. Follow us on something like that. Now I'm just mapping it out. So this is acceptable. And of course, we can say display is grid template columns, repeat 4 times at 1 FR a pop, and grid gap is 1M. There you go. Now, let's also make it so that just for the moment, I'm going to add a border of 1 pix red solid here. Alright, and I'm going to align these little beauties to the center. So to do that, I want them aligned perfectly to the center. There's a couple of ways of doing that, but my favorite, and I think the most robust, is to say display flex, align item center, and then justify content of center. It's a good way of getting stuff to the middle, right? So if you look at that bottom section, there it is. Now, a couple of other things that we can do. we can do a little text transform of uppercase. It sends it to uppercase. And if we look at the design here, you'll see that this is white. This font is white. So I'm just going to say color, bringing on the white. Let's have a wee refresh. Pretty cool. Now let's increase the font size. So I'll say that the font size is 1.4 em. That means it's 1.4 times the size that it would normally be. And I think that's pretty cool. Okay. Is that about right? How are we comparing to the other thing? Maybe 1.3. Alright, that's pretty cool. Now let's have a look at the mobile site. It's going to be a disaster story. So if we inspect, chuck on the wee device thing. Well, you can see immediately that this is causing issues here. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to take this little beauty here, chuck it in here. We're going to take this little beauty here, chuck this in here, and I'm just going to say that for a small screen, I'm quite happy for that to be 1FR. So now you can see that everything is looking kind of cool. Yeah. Perhaps we could add a wee bit of padding onto that. I don't know. I'll do it for the moment. I'll just say padding downstairs 76 pixels. Alright, there you go, right? Now, another thing that we could do is we could say that the font size is maybe just 1.1 em. We don't need it to be quite as big. Oh, you miserable swine. You know, I am going to start doing fonts in pixels. I'm done with this M's bullshit. I'm absolutely done with it, man. Yeah, let's just do that. So font size is going to be 20 pixels. And on the smaller screen, it's going to be 16 pixels. Alright. So have a reload here. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So let's go to our thing here. So I'm going to say that the font size is 20 and this is going to repeat 4 times. So what that means is on a mobile everything is cool in the gang. I might make that a bit bigger. Okay, there's our mobile thing, right? But on a full size screen, it's splitting out 4 ways. Now let's just make sure that the iPads are looking alright here. So we're jumping in to iPad mode. And it looks pretty darn crap, if you ask me. So what I'll do with that is I'm gonna copy this little beauty here. It probably makes sense to have this further down because it loads further down. So we're going to say 2 in here. We're going to do that. Right, so here comes the iPads, and as you can see, it looks fantastic. If we rotate our iPad, we get 4. I don't know about the padding. Come on. Okay. Right, the iPads are solid. Let's do the Mobies. I think the Mobies are solid. And the full screen is definitely solid. Okay, so all I have to do then is add in some of these wee icons that they've got. And that's all sorted. So, I'll take a wee trip here. All right. All right. Well, that's this is all slightly awkward, this wee bit, innit? I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I don't know what it is. Oh, get this thing out of the way. Instagram. It has to be the worst of all the social media companies. Although, or social media sites. Although Twitter's pretty bad, innit? Twitter can be quite vicious. But Instagram is all about, you know, look at me, I've got the perfect life, you know. And if you believe that, you will believe anything. The only person with a perfect life is me. Right, you see that one? I don't even know what that is. Is that TripAdvisor? I think it is. It looks like it. Alright, so that says leave us a review. Okay. So we're going to go to our little social media info thing. And I really want this to be perfect, you know? So okay. So that bit is going to say follow us on Facebook. Then we've got follow us on Twitter, follow us on... Oh, is it like us? Oh, jeez. Are they still doing that bullshit? I haven't been on Facebook for years. Alright. Alright, let's see what we've got. Okay, and it's actually not that bad, you know. It's not that bad. We could probably add a wee bit of a margin. Or a wee bit of padding. Okay, I think given the choice, background color red. Yeah, given the choice between padding and margin, I'll choose margin every time. Padding tends to sometimes mess things up a wee bit, you know? Alright. Now, for... Okay. Now that, again, I don't know about these colours. But what can you do, you know? So then underneath we've got this thing. But first, let's never lose track of this thing. Don't know about that part. I really don't know. But I'm not going to get caught up in it right now. Let's just do this other section. So back over to where the action is. Okay, we're going to undo some stuff. Okay. Well, I'm having challenges there, so let's have a refresh. And I'll open up this thing here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the first thing is going to be just getting this background color for this. So I'm pretty sure it's the same as colors that have appeared previously, but just to be sure, I'll just grab it here. And how about if we just say that the social media thing has got a background color of that. Okay. Cool. So we're on this main section here. Now, what we've got here, of course, is 4 divs. So here's our main section here. And I'm just going to go like this. Something like that. Now, we'll head to this here. Go like that. Okay, so now we're in the business of defining this thing. So I'll say that display is flex. I'll say that the flex direction is row. And just for the moment, we'll give those direct descendant divs a wee border of 1 pix red solid. There you go. Now, I'm gonna say margin 0 auto. Okay, let's do a wee bit of it. A wee bit of margin on the top and bottom of that thing. Oh, you miserable swine, I never meant that. Maybe not. Maybe in here. Okay, so let's now figure this thing out. I'll say that the width is 100%. And I've changed my mind. Let's not make it flex. Let's make it a grid. Grids are a wee bit easier to work with, I think. So I'll say that the grid gap is 1m. And the grid template columns is that. Let's make the width 96%. Oh, what did I just do? What did I just do? Ah, there we go. Right, so we'll say that the width is 96. Cool. Now I'm going to say margin 0 auto. That's pretty cool. Okay, but I'm going to give this a maximum width of that. Right, now for each of these little beauties I can say something like that. Also, I'm going to just, for the moment, and only for the moment, I'll just say that the background colour is yellow, and I'll give them a height of 300 pixels. Right, that's cool. I just wanted to see how everything is mapping out here. Now, as we look at their thing, you can see that it looks as if everything is aligned to the top and to the left. So, okay. You know, let's just make this an ordinary div. Okay, so okay. So if we're talking about the div of nth child 1, let's make it so that the font size is 36 pixels. 22. Alright, that's probably close enough. Yep. Maybe 24. That's cool. So under here we've got the address. Now the address also makes an appearance up here, and in fact if I go into this site owner thing, you can see that we have a thing called our address. Now I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to echo our address. And you can see that that's not quite displaying in the same way that this is displaying. So what we're going to do is we're going to say string replace, and we're going to replace this with a space. There it is. And if we have a super quick look at the design, you'll see that that's really tiny. So okay, let's just make sure we're in the right place. Okay. There it is. So we get quite a big margin top and quite a big margin bottom there. That's pretty cool. So after that, we've got these opening hours here. Now, the opening hours should probably... Well, there they are. So all we have to do is a little div. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now we can probably add a wee bit of line height onto that. So again, I'll just make sure I have the right one. It's that one. I'm going to just say that the line height Okay, that's the first one done. Now, oh gee. Okay, so what we're going to do with this? Well, the key vibe is okay. Alright, so in the case of this thing, I'm just going to say display is grid gap is 1em, grid template columns is repeat, alright. Next one. Okay, so that is here. And what we've got here is basically what looks like 3 rows. So if we think about, there's a row, now there's 3 of them, and each one is going to contain 2 divs, so it's going to be like that. Alright. So, how do we get that one? Okay. Now, in the case of this one, okay. So, Okay, so I'm going to say display is grid. Now if you look at the thing here, there is a wee bit of a grid gap. I'll just for the moment say grid gap is 0.6 m, and then I'm going to say grid template columns. Now let's just say 1FR, 3FR. Head here. So we get something like that. Okay, now did you see the way that was causing issues there when it overflows like that? I think that's happening because I feel as if you see how I've enforced this height? So we'll turn that into a minimum height and we no longer have to worry about that. So back down here again, let's find this 100 and I'll change it to 60. Alright, and that's probably close enough. For the Google Maps, well, life is easy. Okay. So last wee bit. Little bit of designer's privilege here. Alright, now we're going to get rid of all of the guide colours and whatnot. Alright, so that takes care of that, at least on a full screen, you know. And now comes the difficult part. So you can see that okay, this whole part is not looking too great. Now if I change that to 1, you'll see that it's not too bad. And that's basically what we need to do here, you know. So let's copy this. Let's take this out of here. We'll head to where the media queries live. All right. Come on. Okay, now there's a whole lot of margin or something here that's messing this up, and I have no clue what it is. So well, there's your answer. In fact, we've got a minimum height and we've got a margin that's both messing these things up. So what we're going to do is we'll copy this. Going to say minimum height is 0, margin is 0. And I'm going to say padding. Okay, I think that the font size has to come down a wee bit. Ah, fucking hell, man, what have I done? Well, I'm a wee bit scared to even mess with that. Alright, so we have a wee challenge with that section. If I go in here and say style is display of none, well, okay, let's do a wee bit of experimentation. I'm going to say style, section, nth child, 1, display, none. Two. Section display. Right, it seems that the challenge is actually being caused. Can you believe it? It's being caused by this logo up here. So suppose you took that out. Fucking hell, man. It's still not playing ball. I think I've got some weird zoom thing happening here. Oh, I did have. It was fine. It was fine all along. Okay, I think I've had enough. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think I've had about enough of this. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's acceptable. And we'll call that the home page. Now let me look at the old to-do list here. So we've got an image gallery. Right, on Saturday I'm going to do other pages. On Sunday I'm going to do other pages. That's it. Okay, I'm on course. I am absolutely on course to doing this. So it's starting to come together. I'd say that I'm really happy with how these menus turned out. I think these are looking pretty darn cool, you know. So if we update these details here, or maybe go into this menu, I'll change the theme from dark to light. Check it out. Switch back to dark. Yep, that's good. Alright, so that'll do me for this. I'm going to take a wee break from this site here. So I'm just going to say mapped out homepage. So I'm hoping to have this thing just about finished by Tuesday. And thereafter I'll head in and see the guy. There's bound to be some tweaks and stuff. Hopefully that won't last any longer than a few days. And that'll be it. Alright, we have a few people in the house today, don't you know? Thanks, man. Well, thanks very much. Nice work with the logo there, Treff. Thanks, man. Okay, so I think I'm going to take a wee break from that. I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that I've learned in web development lately, and I'm going to tell you what they are. One of the biggest problems that I've had throughout the years of doing this type of stuff, one of the biggest problems has been overwhelm. I'm always taking on too many friggin' projects, you know, and I just get overwhelmed. And what do? Oh, we've got a new star. So what does a guy do when you just get completely overwhelmed all the time, and what is the sweet spot? Well, I've given this a little bit of thought, and I think that the sweet spot is the number 2, you know. I can happily work on 2 projects, because after about 4 or 5 hours you get a bit sick looking at something, and it's nice to look at something else. So my whole vibe moving forward is that I'm working on 2 projects, you know, and that's it. And I think that if you're doing any more than 2 projects, you're basically too busy, and I think that you should just hire somebody or something at that point, you know, or decline the work. But 2 is going to be my own little limit. I wonder if we've got any messages for this. Oh, we have a few messages. I'm going to open them. Okay, well, that's a message from Dan, and forgive me, Dan, it's all complicated talking about security and stuff. Here's a message. Well, what can I tell you? My prayers have been answered. Sophia sent you a message. She's online now. It's sexlovers.club/chat. There you go. See, I always knew there would be perks to this. Let's see what else I've got. Okay, some bullshit about blockchain. And finally, some more bullshit about blockchain. Here's the bullshit about blockchain. That's that. I think I'll have another read through those and see if I can understand the one that you posted. All I can say is I'm really, really overwhelmed, and I don't know if it's night or day. I have no idea. I'm not even sure what year it is or anything. And I just hope that whatever the suggestion is, that it does not involve me doing anything. If the suggestion does not involve me doing anything, then I agree. If it involves me having to do something, like, you know what I mean, something, then I'm going to gracefully decline that suggestion. Now, question is, Dan, and I'm very grateful that you're here, does your suggestion involve me having to do something? Do I have to do something? God bless you, Dan. In that case, I agree with your suggestion. It might just be the greatest suggestion in the history of suggestions. God bless you, Dan. Listen, man, when all of this has settled down, we'll have a chance to catch up on Skype. It's going to be a fabulous year next year. You better believe it. You better believe it, baby, because things are looking up on the planet called Earth. That's right. Things are looking up. You shall not pass. So basically, I have a big old problem in life. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I'll read it again when I have the time. It just looked heavy as Franz Liebken, and I couldn't quite get my head around it. Now, I have to work on some Speed Coding Academy stuff, and I'm behind schedule, and it's really stressing me out. So with your permission, folks, I am going to disappear and do some videos for Speed Coding Academy. And in fact, what I'm recording, in case you're wondering, is a video series on how to build Speed Coding Academy. So I'm recording and building it at the same time, and unfortunately, I'm not able to live stream that. So with your permission, I'm going to blow the whistle today, and thanks so much for passing by. You are my inspiration. You are the reason why I keep on going, and I am grateful. You know, I had a nice little comment from Derek Banas. He has over 1 million subs, and it made me think that maybe we'll have one of these popular YouTubers back us up at some point, right? Maybe one of these days it will happen. I suppose we can dream. Thank you so much for passing by. Bless you to the highest. I hope you have a fantastic day, and hopefully I'll catch up with you tomorrow. See you later now.